Hello and welcome to All For United with me, John Foster, MUFC, action-packed live show tonight. Joining me is Matt, Ben and Stu. How are you all doing?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, not bad, John.
Really well, thanks, John.
Thank you, Ben. Brilliant. Nat's not with us. Nat's having a week off this week, so she's taking a well-deserved break. But got plenty to talk about. We want to continue a little bit about the FA debate that we had with Molly Hudson last Friday, I believe that was. If you haven't seen that episode, please check it out. It's a really good one. When you speak to a journalist, you always get a bit of an insight into things that fans don't really know about. So it's always good to hear her side of things. So please check that one out. We also want to talk about Leah Galton's injury update. And also the news has come out today, fans back in ground as of May the 17th, all being well. But the topic of the show is, are Man United women's team a victim of their own success this season? So plenty of topics there. But before we get into all that, I just want to have a bit of a catch up with Stu. Obviously, you haven't been on the show for a few weeks. How are you keeping, mate?
Yeah, life's good. The little 11 months old is now starting to sleep. It's almost a really good little way of charting when I was last on, because I can almost think, obviously, you got 4-month-old and you got 6-month-old. So we're almost looking at every 2 months at the minute. So, yeah, it's our first birthday at the weekend. And who knows, maybe she might get a Man United shirt, or I might just wait till the new one's out now. Seems like it's a hell of 45 quid for a whole strip.
Yeah, I know.
They grow too quickly to justify that.
Yeah. You should wait till the end of the season and get the discounted one.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, life's treating me very, very well. Thank you very much.
Good. How's the Sin 71 going regarding with what's gone on recently, with lockdown and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, the strange thing is that we have had our highest website visitors, and then we've picked up the most followers and had the most interaction during periods where we've probably had the least football, which is a little bit strange. But I guess it's freed up a lot of players to have time to talk to us and engage with us. And it's given us a little bit, those apart from myself that are parenting, more time to do that little bit of writing. And so we're really grateful. We're all, it's all by, if you're not aware of us, it's a online blog staffed fully by volunteer fans that want to talk about everything that they're passionate about, which is women's football. I never ask my writers to be particularly impartial. I've got fans that support particular clubs, and they focus pretty much on those clubs. During match reports, I ask that they're fair and balanced, but you're writing as a fan, write as a fan. I think that honesty is respected. None of our writers are ever particularly unfair or unkind, so therefore it's worked really well, and I like to think people respect it. I'd love it if we could if I could pay all the writers and we could go full time and we could chuck out the sort of content that your main national media produce, but it's just not possible. So it's try and put out quality over quantity, and hopefully people respect that, enjoy that, and come back as often as we can. And anything we do put out about Manchester United, it certainly gets some support out there. So it's really great to see that there is obviously a massively growing fan base for Manchester United women. And I've been able to see that, especially over the last 12 months, when we might put out a particular feature or a particular match report. You just see it in the number of retweets and engagements, and it's always a really pleasant surprise. I know that anything we put out for us. So if we get one like, that's cool, one person's read it. I'd rather one person reads an article from top to bottom than 100 people click on, browse, scan it, and then click off. So it's really nice to get that. And with the dedication of the United readership, it's amazing. They come from all over the world. It's really, there is a real great transition from the men's supporters coming in and buying into the women's team, and which is fantastic to see. And hopefully we see that at the same levels with a lot of other clubs.
You saying that, Stu, about you'd rather have one person reading the whole article as opposed to people just browsing. I love the sound of that, because for me, I always say to Matt and Ben in a private group chat about loyalty of the viewers or readers in your case. And I know that we've got that on this channel because we always have a similar amount of people viewing. And it's not like that we've only been doing 5 or 6 shows. I think, we're over 30 now, and we always get the same kind of number. So you know that you're getting a lot of regulars that come back. And okay, they won't watch every show. That's where your new people come in. But I do think the core of it, as a rough guess, I think about probably 75% watch pretty much every show, and then maybe 25% probably don't watch the next one, but someone else is new. So it always kind of averages out. But yeah, I'm all for that. What you've just said, and yeah, it's great to see. Give all the web addresses out at the end of the show as well, because we definitely need to check that out. Yeah.
But you hit the nail on the head. Just grow it organically. Don't go chasing likes. Don't go chasing followers. They'll all come naturally. And speak of the devil, Mr. Fry, he's got to get a. If you're giving star ratings for regulars, then that gentleman gets 5 stars.
100%, mate. And he's won plenty of competitions. We've got our competition halfway through the show tonight, and we're looking forward to Matt reading his question out tonight. See if John can win that one as well. Ben, Matt, I want to get you involved. 2 talking points today that's come out of breaking news. Leah Galton's injury latest. Fans back in grounds. Matt, let's start off with yourself regarding Leah Galton. Am I right in thinking it's an ankle, Achilles injury, or
ankle ligaments?
Ligaments.
Couple of months. So we're here a couple of months she's out for, which is a bit of a blow, to be honest. I think we've all talked about, haven't we, this season on here about what Leah brings to the squad in terms of quality. Obviously, as well, we're short on left footers, and big blow, another long-term injury, so to speak. Obviously, we've got Tobin out as well. Alessia's still out. Lucy Stan's still out as well. They're both working their way back, but it's going to be one of them where we have to sort of rejig, I suppose, and just try our best. I know we've seen today mentioned Kristen Press out wide. I think, Hansen can play sort of either side as well if she's cutting in from the left and going with the right foot. That said, though, she did score a very good goal for Scotland the other day, if anybody saw that. It's Ben, I knew you would. It's a bit of a blow, and it's going to be one of them ones where we might have to sort of, rejig the team and kind of work with what we've got. But I suppose injuries are part and parcel of the game, really.
It is part and parcel. It's just very unfortunate that we've got quite a few at the moment. But we'll talk about the international break shortly. But it's just one injury after another, isn't it? But hopefully we'll get a couple back after the international break. Ben, what are your thoughts on the Galton injury? Because I don't think I've spoken to you much since that City game. Obviously, it's a massive blow. And now, as Matt says, we might have to play maybe Kristen out wide.
It is a massive blow, mate. For me, this is a bigger blow than losing Tobin Heath, because I've been banging on all season how Leah Galton's been our best player, and probably the best player in the league. In fact, I think she is the best player in the league. So it's a massive, massive loss. Bigger loss than Tobin Heath for me. Saying that, as Matt said, though, Chris Hansen scored from the left-hand side of Scotland, can easily play on the left-hand side. So you could probably put Kirsty left, maybe keep Tooney right, possibly, or put Press right, or whatever. Again, there's a lot, as I always say every show, that there's a lot of interchangeable players there. It just depends what Casey Stoney feels comfortable with and feels that will get her back onto the winning track and the winning ways. But it's a massive blow, mate. Make no mistake about this, is a humongous blow for United. To lose your best player for a couple of months is just... It's sort of really put a dampener on things a little bit. It's like, I think we'll be all right. Don't get me wrong, but it's a huge blow. And it's just really disappointing, really. I was gutted when that news came out today. I was sort of half asleep. As you know, I work nights, so half asleep. My phone's pinging away, so I've had a look like. And then I was absolutely gutted, mate. When I was reading it, I was like, damn. You knew it was something bad when... You knew that it was taking a while for news to filter through of any injury news about it, of anything. So I knew it was going to be kind of bad, but I didn't expect it to be that bad. So it's just really gutting in a way for me.
I remember speaking to Matt at half time on our live Twitter show in that game, and I think I said to Matt, hopefully it wouldn't be that bad because she managed to walk off and she wasn't stretched off. Matt obviously thought the worst, and obviously I think his opinion was probably closer than mine in the end, but it is a massive loss. And we know what happens without Leah Galton. We lack creativity, we lack chances, and we lack goals. Stu, I haven't spoken to you much about our front line this season, but what are your thoughts on now the fact that Tobin and Leah Galton's out? It's a massive blow, isn't it?
I echo Ben's sentiments about Leah Galton. For me, we do our own in-house awards, and she is up there for Player of the Season, quite comfortably. To lose your Player of the Season is obviously going to be a bit of a blow, but I don't want to kind of jump ahead because I don't want to talk about the later topic about, but. I think everyone will be okay. I think Alicia Russo's coming back. I think Tobin Heath coming back. There's still enough quality in that team to secure third place, which is a good season. But again, I'm scared I'm going to kind of touch upon victims of our own success topic. So I'm trying not to talk too much. But it's a loss. It's a loss. But there's there's a lot of match winners within that squad. The reason Man United are where they are is because of that team, because of that squad, not because of one particular player that's just blasting in the goals. So I think there's still a lot to look forward to and a lot to be excited about. Yeah,
I agree. And John Fry, you've mentioned Jake in the comments. Jake will be joining us on Friday's show. It's been a long time coming. I don't think he's been on the show for 2 or 3 months, so it's going to be great to get Jake back. And if I remember, I'll ask him a little bit about his thoughts on Jane Ross. Because there was a rumour in January that she'd be joining Spurs as well, wasn't there? She obviously stayed with us, but that rumour was on Twitter. It was an article that came out possibly by Emma Sanders, possibly. Sorry if I'm wrong on that one, but it definitely came out. So it'd be nice to hear what Jake's thoughts on Jane Ross actually is.
I'd be interested to know your guys' thoughts on whether this is Jess Sigsworth's time to step up.
I've got a good point now. You know, in my little memory there, I forgot about Jess Sigsworth. Yeah, there's a very good point now. She can also play out on the right. I've not even got him on. More away than I am. But he's got a very good point now. You know, Jess Sigsworth's a player that's been on top of the fringes, hasn't she?
She's played well. She's played well this season. Yeah. She's played well as a cameo, but it's now the point that she turns those good performances into goals.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Jess play more. I've been crying out for a kind of a steady front three, and we just haven't had it all season because of injuries or one thing or another. And I don't think that's going to come now because as soon as Tobin's fit again, she'll come straight back in. So will Russo. LJ's been in and out. And Jess has been in and out. I think Jess could quite easily fit in either on the right or up top, which could then potentially put pressure out on the left and then Jess through the middle. But at the moment, it looks like that LJ's being more favoured up top as well. So if she's back from injury, there's just so many injuries at the moment. It's just you almost forget who's injured and who's come back. But I'd love to see Jess get a couple of goals because she scored. You know, she has scored this season and she's enjoyable to watch. And we know what we're going to get from Jess. Maybe the opposition do as well, but it still that doesn't mean that they can control what she can do. I would like, no matter who it is, just to have a bit of a run of 2 or 3 games, just to kind of get that chemistry with the players around them because they could all score and they've all got strings to the bow. They just need to get on that pitch and just start playing regular football. And we all know that Jess can score. What are your thoughts on that, Matt?
No, I agree. I think, if Jess gets a consistent run of games, like you say, you know what we get. I think for me, I'd agree with that comment there. I was just going to come to that. I'm not a fan of Jess on the wing. I just think she offers us a lot more in the middle with the pace, the power, and the finishing as well. I think she's more effective for me, in my opinion, anyway, straight down the middle. So like we touched on, whether that means that Kristen goes out wide, that's absolutely fine, and have Jess as sort of the out-and-out number 9, if you like, in the central of that front three. And just give it a go. Like we said, we've got so many injuries. Obviously, Jane Ross has been sort of briefly used, not as much football maybe as she'd like. And I think, Jess is sort of a safe bet. We know what she brings, especially, now an easier, shall we say, run of games. Get some goals, get some confidence in there, and just kind of see where it takes us, really.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think the reason why Jess has been on the right a lot as well is because has got more chance to play on the right, if you know what I mean, because there's only her and Hansen since Tobin's been injured. And Tobin has been playing on the left when Leah Golt's played left back, or vice versa. Well, not vice versa, but there's been more room for her to play on that right hand side as opposed to up top. So yeah, let's see what happens there, because I think I think she definitely needs to play and definitely play down the middle. Another bit of news today is the news that fans back in grounds on May the 17th. First thing I thought of is that actually the end of the season. Ben, did you check something on your phone before we started about when the last game was? Without me checking, I don't know. Does anybody know?
Yeah,
I do.
It's the last game of the Premier League season. It's Wolves away for United in the men's, but our women's season is completely finished by then. So it's not in time for that. So you're looking at the cup finals.
As it stands, I've got it in front of me. It's the last home game is Man United against Everton on the 9th of May. However, as Ben touched on with the cups, the FA Cup's been held at the second round at the moment and paused indefinitely. I imagine once grassroots football starts again and the non-elite teams that occupy that round exclusively, that'll probably be the very first fixture they'll just jump straight in at. Those teams probably won't like jumping straight into the FA Cup, but they'll kind of get told that they've got no choice in the matter, to be honest. So there could all be an FA Cup run that we could all go and see, maybe. Fingers crossed, hopefully.
Matt, thoughts on that one?
I mean, yeah, gutted that we're missing out. I think I struggle to understand. I get there's rules in place, that's absolutely fine. But when they're saying, oh, well, you can go to a pub in April and you can go to a theme park, and it's just like, you know what it's like after people have had a drink. And I struggle with the logic that they're saying, oh, whatever you do, go outside, it's absolutely safe. And then they're saying, well, you can't go to football. And I think, the last time I checked, football wasn't played indoors. So it's like, I don't know. I struggle to understand the logic and accept it, really, because, we've all been sort of football starved for 12, 13, 14 months. And I think now, obviously, like Ben said, there'll be one away game, which they'll probably not allow away fans anyway. And then that'll be it. Pre-season, we don't know what's going to happen. So we could potentially be looking at sort of August, September, which, yeah, it's difficult to take, really. But I suppose you've just got to stick with it and try and hope for the best, really.
I don't know who this person is here.
Stranger. We will go.
We'll just go away. We'll find a way. Hope you okay, Nat. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and for me, I was kind of resigned to the fact that it's going to be next season or pre-season now anyway. But let's see. Let's just see what happens, because we've built our hopes up so many times, especially myself. I've built my hopes up on Natalie's channel, on this channel last year during lockdown. All for United since we started in September. I am just waiting and waiting. Ben, I mean, your thoughts on that day to May the 17th? What would you like to see happen in an ideal world?
I'm a bit like Matt, though. If you go back to pubs in April or whatever it is, what's the difference? I think the difference is the government just doesn't trust football fans. We will be the very, very fucking last to go back, and it really annoys me, mate. It really annoys me. It's just like, I don't know. When's Wimbledon, Matt? Is that after May?
Yeah, it's late June, about the 20th, 25th. So they're letting fans in that
tennis, mate. That's what I thought. I know you mentioned tennis earlier, but it's just, I don't know, mate. It's just, I feel disappointed because every time you get that little glimmer of hope of going to a football game, and then it gets pushed back, further back, and it's like, and I, in my deepest of hearts, I was like, it ain't going to be this season. As soon as November sailed by, I was like, it's not going to be this season. I can see it now. Hopefully we can get to cup final. That'd be juicy. And then I see Nat saying some August Euro away there. That'd be a nice August, wouldn't it, eh? Some of yourself somewhere abroad. But well, we'll see. We'll see. It's just, I don't know, mate. I'm just gonna let it all play out, mate. Because every time I get my hopes up, it gets daft every single time, and I just end up being disappointed and kicking myself and headbutting the walls because I'm just getting stressed out that I can't go to a football game. So I'm just going to play it by ear this time and not get my hopes up too much. Then anything that comes before that is a massive bonus.
The one for me is when we actually had the email where we could actually apply for a ticket to that next game.
Yeah.
Was it Bristol? I can't remember. It was a home game. I can't remember who for. But yeah, it was kicking the teeth when we actually applied for the ticket, doing things behind the scenes with the Barmy Army, doing some planning, and nowhere near it in the end. We actually moved further away. Has anyone got an answer to John Foy on the screen at all?
I've got an answer, but I don't think it's the one he wants. If he's thinking first team, I believe it's next weekend. If he's thinking the development team, they beat Blackburn 2-1. So that answers your question, John. Development team, I know Solskjaer's daughter scored, and I believe the one was Tara Bourne. That was yesterday. And then the first team is supposed to be next Sunday. So that's where we're at with sort of behind closed doors friendlies.
Cool. It is international break. Usually, I don't think. Well, I'm not a big fan of international breaks because I'm quite open in the sense that I watch Man United games more than England games. That's men or women. That's just the way I am. But I've also said that I do believe that this is coming at a good time for United women's team at the moment, just to regain a bit of composure, get a bit of stability back, and hopefully get some players back as well. Stuart, I mean, with your background, you might be a little bit different to me. Do you actually look forward to these international games, or are you a big Lioness fan at all?
I look forward to games that I have the freedom to watch with an 11-month-old. Ultimately, I would love to see more Women's Super League games being played in the evening because that's my optimum time to watch football at the minute. During the days, I've got to plan those time in a bit more. Tomorrow, 12:30 kickoff. That's not really ideal for anyone, even if you're working from home. You haven't got much to do. It's middle of the day. I enjoy. Just give me women's football. I enjoy women's football. It's a good quality. So yeah, I do. I must say I'm looking forward to tomorrow's game especially. And I was fortunate enough to virtually go to the Northern Ireland press conference today. And I've been doing a little bit of research on what to expect from them. And there's a little part of me that I'm rooting for them tomorrow. They've got a playoff game, a two-legged playoff tie to make it through to the Euros. I want to see them at the Euros. I'm supporting them. I want them to put in a big performance. I don't care about their result. They probably don't care too much about the result. They're looking at the performance and the experience and what they can learn. Going into the playoff tie, they want to play the best. So... yeah, I want to see him do well. I want to see that. That's something. I know we're talking about the frustration of not being able to go to games and things like that. But let's look ahead. Euro 2022. Book that time off now. Go to as many. Make up for it. Go to every game. Doesn't matter who it is. As many games as you can. Watch it. Get involved in it. Enjoy it. You're going to see players like Ella Toon in it. You're going to see LJ in it. Hopefully, you're going to see at least one, if not both, of the Turners in it. Maybe Mary Earps as well, Alicia Russo. I know you might not be into international football because you're scarred from the experience of Man United men's and the Beckham incidents, the Phil Neville incidents and the hate. But at least for the next year and a half, just jump into the Lionesses a little bit. I'm not expecting you to be buying yourself a Steph Houghton shirt or anything like that, but there's enough representation for Manchester United within that Lionesses squad and with the other countries as well, especially with Jackie and Holland. If you really can't, if the men's three lions has scarred you that much, get behind the orange. You'll enjoy it. Do it. Yeah. Get behind them. International football is great. Yeah, exactly. Get behind your international football. It's it's well worth a watch, and it's one of the few that you can watch easily on terrestrial television and not have to worry about buffering. But less said about the FA player, the better. So get involved. Get involved, John.
Absolutely, yeah. Looking forward to it. Ben, what are your thoughts on the timing of the international break? Was you happy to see it come with the losses that we had, or would you want to just carry on until we ground out, regain a bit of form that way, or?
Well, you know me, my thoughts on the international break. I hate it. It bores the pants off me. But I think it's a good timing for United. I think I said it the last time I was on. I said the international break's probably come at the right time for United just to regroup and regather our thoughts and everything. And just maybe try and get one or two back from injury maybe in that time, in that few weeks that we've had off. But international football, mate, the break, I was going to touch upon this. Me and Nat should have been sunning ourselves in Cyprus, man. We were planning to go to watch Kirsty Hansen in Scotland well in advance, probably way before this corona even hit us. Me and Nat, I think Nat even booked some accommodation as well for us. We was meant to go to Cyprus, so we could have been doing this show sunning ourselves from Cyprus, me and Nat. But I'm not a really big international football fan. People that know me, I hate international football. It's just boring. But like Stu said, though, that's that Euro 2022, the first game at Old Trafford as well. You want to be there, you know what I mean? I've signed up for the UEFA priority ticket thingy-bobby that was going around on their Twitter page. I signed up for that, You want to get yourself on the priority list, try and get yourself some tickets, And I for one, I will be trying to watch the tournament, That's probably the only time I really pay any attention to international football is when a tournament's on. Do I support anyone? Nah. I'll just go watch the games, man. But I'll be just supporting anyone that plays for United and hopefully going to as many games as possible and just trying to take in the experience a little bit, I think, more than anything. Because the last time I went to see a tournament, I was a kid, mate, Euro 96. I went to England v Holland at Wembley, and I was only a 9-year-old little lad then, So I don't remember too much of it. So it'd be nice to experience a tournament in this country a little bit. Obviously, you've got the men's sort of Euro thing this summer coming up, but it doesn't really interest me, mate. I'd rather go and watch the Lionesses, to be fair, and watch the women's football because I just cannot. Still know I can't stand English fans, so England fans and all that because of all the United stuff and what's happened in the past. So I'll probably be watching all that from home, and I think it's more affordable as well to go and watch the women's competitions. You know what I mean? You can watch far more games as well. You can probably near enough watch every game in the tournament for the price of watching 2 or 3 games for the men's tournament. So I think all in all, I echo the comments from Stuart. Just get yourself involved, get yourself down there. Just, it's happening in this country. We're going to have quite a few games in the Northwest as well. So get yourself down or get yourself down locally wherever countries are playing near you. Just get yourself down. Just have a butcher's in it and give it a go.
I think for me, when you just says you don't necessarily supporting anyone, I'll be like almost the same. I'll just be watching the games where Man United players are playing in. So I don't really care. I mean, obviously, I'd like to see England win, but I'd also like to see Jackie play well for Holland and Ona for Spain. So these are the matches that I'm going to be watching. If there's not an England player in the starting 11 for Man United, then I'll watch another club where one of the Man United players are playing. So yeah, that's going to be.
It's just a shame Scotland are not in it. I'd have got all tattered. I'd be scrolling with the kilt, everything, the face paint, everything. I mean, I've got the ginger hair. Well, Matt will know the joke with that ginger wig and whatever in the hat. Matt remembers. Do you remember, lad?
I remember the services when you picked up that hat and that kilt on the way to the Euros. That was brilliant. It was like a tartan flat cap, John. And he put that on with his little kilt, and it was just hilarious. It was great.
So it's just a shame Scotland not on it. Sorry to interrupt you, John. Carry on, lad.
No, that's all right. I think I've lost track now. But we're going to move on. We're going to talk a little bit about the FA. So a few good debates that we had with Molly a few days ago, but there's still a bit of room there still to talk a little bit more. So Matt, we'll start off with yourself. We'll just go around and just do 1 point each. So Matt, if you want to start off with something that we spoke about before, about the amount of teams in the WSL and what maybe you would like to see happen in the future that you think would kind of improve the game.
Yeah, I think I've kind of spoken about this, obviously, with yourself and other people many a times. I think, I go back to when I watched the WSL under the Summer League and sort of the promotion and relegation and sort of things like that. And I think for me, I'd love to see in the future an expanded WSL. I think 12 at the moment isn't bad, but I think for me, if we can get 14, 15 teams in there and maybe have 2 up, 2 down, and sort of expand it and get more games on, that'd be brilliant. And I think something I'd said as well, I think was to Nat, was it'd be great if, similar to the rugby, they could have like a little playoff. So third in the championship would play third bottom from WSL for sort of, either to stay in the league or to go down. But those are sort of just my, personal things, just to maybe, spice it up a bit, make it more interesting. Whether it's possible, sort of logistically and finances for things, who knows? But certainly, I think, WSL expand that if we can. And even the championship, I think the championship with an odd number is quite frustrating at the minute, especially if you sort of watch your team regularly, is that you're always got one team missing out each weekend due to the imbalance. And I think if we can get that sorted as well, I'm not a fan of sort of the third tier. They have like a north and south playoff. And I think for me, it's a little bit harsh, because if you come top of your league, for me, you deserve to get promoted, not to be then playing someday in the other sort of region to then decide the one place to go into the championship. So I think if they can structure it overall, whether that's 1, 2, 3 years overall to get better, then absolutely, the more games, the more sort of fans and clubs getting involved. And we're seeing already from next year, I think there's 2 or 3 turning pro as well. Then, the better for the game for me.
Stuart, I'd like to hear your thoughts on what Matt's just said as well, and also lead into a little bit about grassroots as well.
Well, how long have you got? He's just picked on a subject that is a bit of a passion project of mine at the minute. I'm actually in the conversation with a few clubs within the third tier at the moment to find out more about the licensing system that they have to go from the third tier, that's the North and South League that Matt touched upon, to go up to the championship. Because I quite passionately agree that there should be no bye weeks for teams. There should be much more games than there are, and the leagues do need to expand. But how you do it is very, very tricky. I was in conversation with Luke Swindlehurst, who is a former AFC Fylde manager, who was actually, I believe, he was involved in the setting up of the current WSL format. And his opinion was that if, in order for it to grow, you have to grow it from the bottom up. So you have to increase the pool of players available that are at the desired quality. So, for example, you couldn't just put the top 4 up in the championship and then put 8 clubs up from the north and south, because while there's some good names within there, you are just thinking about it straight away. You'd be looking at Watford, Portsmouth, Yeovil, Crawley Wasps, Huddersfield, Fylde, Sunderland. So that there are clubs that have got a bit of money and men's backing, but whether they've got the enough backing and the facilities to go straight into the championship is questionable. If I could just make one point about all of that, and without spending the next 25 minutes on answering your question, the big thing the FA need to do is just incentivise from the tiers 3 downwards. If Watford win tier 3 and Huddersfield win tier 3 in the north, and they have a playoff, their combined prize winning money for winning their leagues is, guess?
0.
Yeah, exactly that. They get 0. Where just to kind of put a little bit of parity, you've got I don't know if it's still the Johnson's Paint Trophy or whatever the League Cup. I think it's the Builder-based trophy at the moment, and I don't have the specific numbers in front of me at the moment. But what teams get there for progression and they're arguably they're the National League. So if we're saying that this is the National League Women, there should be some sort of parity or at least something in there. Because these are teams that are getting similar numbers of fans. Well, I don't know. I'll tell you what, I'll go back on that one because someone will probably prove me wrong on that one. But the amount they're getting thousands of pounds to progress in this competition. If you win the competition, I swear it's something like 60 grand. And and you telling me that you can't give a club 10 grand, or even 5 grand for winning their league. That 10 or 5, if they had 10 grand split between, or maybe 7 grand for the winner, 3 grand for the loser, that would go a hell of a long way. You could pay a player, and until the FA can really support that 3rd and 4th tier, they're not going to have the players or the numbers to build WSL or Championship, and that's my big frustration. So the long-term success of the FA in women's football has nothing to do with the Women's Super League. It's what they do to professionalise and turn teams to semi-professional at tiers 2, 3 and 4, because there are plenty of teams that have the backing and the wanting to do it, but there's no financial incentive. So even these clubs that get an FA Cup run, they're not getting anywhere near the money it would need to hit the licensing to go to Championship. And Yeovil are the best example of a club that overstretched, and then they suffered for it massively, being relegated 2 divisions. So it's a massive risk for these clubs just to think, right, let's just jump up there. I can think there might be a few clubs within the 4th tier. You've got Southampton, Wolverhampton Wanderers, and Burnley that are about to go professional. So those are clubs that could you may well see in the Championship in the next 2 to 3 years, and that's going to be your first sign of being able to add professional clubs or professionally run clubs to tiers 1 and 2. But it's for all the rest that don't have Premier League backers. That's the difficult. Southampton are doing fantastically well. They would argue that if these seasons hadn't been curtailed, they'd be in the Championship already. But they've got the money and the facilities. Their women are given the same access to everything that the men are. And I've been fortunate enough to do some workshops, because I'm a coach in the local area of women's football at Southampton's training ground. And the facilities there are incredible. There are facilities that they're using and offering their regional talent centres. So you're anything from under 7s up through to under 16s is probably better than the majority, if not all, of the current championship sides. So the short answer, without taking up too much of the episode, Matt is absolutely bang on, but it's really important the FA get it right in the way that they do it, and they don't try and dangle a carrot for clubs and say, come on, push yourself. And then in the long run, they suffer because they can't sustain it financially.
So that leads me nicely on to the question I was going to ask Ben. Ben, do you think we were better off if the WSL was run by an independent company?
I think I've been banging on about it for quite a while. I think something like the Premier League comes in, runs the WSL. That takes some of that financial burden off the FA. In fact, it'll take quite a lot of it off. So the FA could probably then, whatever money they're putting into the WSL, they can filter downwards down the pyramid of the women's game. But then I still question if the FA would do that or not, because I just don't think they care. I have a thing in mind. Grassroots football, for example, they're killing the game. You see how much pitches are. See how much refs are. It's just ridiculous, the costs in football now. And the FA are just not, they've got their finger up the backsides and not willing to pull them out, to be fair. It's just, I think it's best for all, the WSL goes to an independent body. If, like the Premier League, for example, if the Premier League go, yeah, we'll be interested in it, I could guarantee the Premier League will pump a lot of money into that league. I know you'll probably see money from the league filter downwards as well from the Premier League, as it does a little bit in the men's game. I just think the Premier League will market the hell out of the WSL as well. Something the FA, I think, struggle to do. I think the Premier League will have it on. You see the Premier League advertising worldwide for the men's game. I think the Premier League will smash that advertising out into the sky, man, for the women's game. I just don't think the FA do enough. I just think that whole debacle about the referees as well, that's just disgraceful, mate. That is just disgraceful. You're telling me they can't fully train their referees properly? Even if you just put them into POGMO, the professional game body for the referees, why can't they have the same training as the Premier League elite referees? Do you know what I mean? Why can't they have like a month where they could go in for at least one day a month or 1 week a month, where they could just train with the elite and then they get taught and they get you know, they can get, what's the word I'm looking for? They get evaluated. Evaluated by the top referee, top coaches that coach the Premier League referees. it's an absolute mess in a way. I just don't think the FA care, mate. I can't remember her name when she was on about the referee. It looks like she don't care. Not in the next 3 years. What, do you want to build a game or don't you want to build a game at all levels? Because I agree with everybody. I think WSL should be more teams than what it is. Do you know what I mean? And yes, it'll take time, it'll take money, but who's helping these teams to go semi-pro, to go to professional level? Who's helping them? So yes, fair enough. It should be the football clubs themselves as well. Some of them are multi-million pound football clubs, multi-millionaires running them, But they also need the help from the governing body as well. Where's the incentive for these clubs? As Stu said, where's the incentive for these clubs then to go out and say, yes, we'll especially the North and South divisions, yes, we can maybe look at going semi-pro to professional. But where's our incentive? Where's that money? It's like you said, though, zero. We get absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? For winning the leagues, it's like, but yet we're paying like for cup competitions that no one hardly watches down in the lower leagues of the men's games. They're getting paid vast amount of money. Then someone's going to say, "Oh yes, well the money, the men bring in the money, the gate receipts and all that, blah 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 blah, the television and stuff and all that." But if you're seriously growing the game, then show some incentive, show some bottle. Say like, "Oh yes, we'll work with the teams. We'll give them the extra top up in money that they might need to help them." You know what I mean? I think we'll give them help to maybe gain some facilities to go and train and to go and do the gym work and to have physiotherapy if the players are injured or whatever it may be. Will help provide to the cost of that, but they don't. I just think that they need to give the WSL to someone that cares, whether it's the Premier League or another independent body. Give it to somebody that actually might care about the product, and in that way, then the FA, if they do care about the game, they can maybe say we'll concentrate on the Championship of the North and South. So whatever money that we're pumping into the WSL, we can now distribute that equally or kind of near enough equally between both the Championship and the North and South leagues, that are below them. I just think they don't care, mate. You look at the FA player like Stu. I bang on about this all the time. It's amateurish at best. No good. It don't work half the time. But if they put a little bit of money in there, you can maybe get a show where you get a few replays on it. You don't even get replays of the goals. You don't even get commentators know what the hell they're on about half the time. The FA are just putting as little money in as possible and going, yeah, just run with it. Yeah, just run with it. And people might say the Premier League, the greed of the Premier League is what maybe done the men's game a little bit, is maybe being a detriment to the men's game. But let's be fair, though. That's why the Championship's one of the playoffs of the Championship's one of the most. The prize money is absolutely unreal for that, and that's because the FA don't have to concentrate on the Premier League. The Premier League sustains itself. That's why the Premier League don't even have a sponsorship for their trophy anymore. It's not the Cardiff Premier or the Barclays Premier League. It's just the Premier League, because the Premier League can now self-sustain itself. And I just think you should just give it to somebody that cares about the product, or that will show a lot more care and a lot more passion about the product than the FA. And I could rant on for ages. So I'm going to let Matt have a say or something, because I think I've been on it too long, boys.
No, I think you covered it there, really, Ben. I think on when was it, John? Thursday, was it last week when you and Matt sort of talked about this? I don't know if you saw that, Ben. And we were sort of, discussing ideas. And I think, like you said, I think if there's incentives there, and if you're offering a decent amount of prize money, I know Matt Johnson was on about maybe clubs would be maybe more willing to throw some money to train referees if the prize money was there. So if they were getting $4 or $5 grand in prize money, for example, for, I don't know, let's say winning the Conti Cup, for example, and then the league said, oh, right, each team's going to give us a couple of $100 to train them, then fine if there's incentives there. But, it's one of them where we talked about the WSL becoming sort of all teams pro, all 12 in 2017. You're looking at 7 years in total that will have been pro before we're talking pro referees from 17 to 24. I just think, for me, if that was the men's game, 7 years of no professional referees, people would have been kicking off big time. And I think, for me, it's quite bad that they're not willing to invest in their product. I mean, there's things that are brilliant about the women's game and the things that need improvement. But I think one of the biggest things is the referee. And we've seen this season some refs have lost control of games, they've missed things. And we talked about sort of last week about, it could end up costing a team, whether that's relegation, whether it's a trophy, whether it's a Champions League place. And we've seen in lower leagues, I've seen players that have had to set up Just Giving pages to sort of fund, like you said, physio and treatment and cost, because there's just no money in it. And I can't believe we're in 2021 with a league that's been pro for so long, run amateur referees. It's just, I talked about last week, I saw the FA tweet a coaching programme and giving support, and there was names on there. I think Vicky Jefferson was on there and a few others, and they were saying, we're going to train these sort of coaches, give them some insight and sort of help them develop, which is brilliant. So we can find money for that, but it seems we can't find it for the league and the referees. I'm at a loss as to how that sort of happens. They're all sat there, FA multi-million-pound business, but yet we can't invest it in, WSL downwards to sort of non-league. And again, you look at the third tier downwards, they won't even fund for testing, corona testing, and it's absolutely ridiculous. They spent months, these players now, sat out the game, and people have had to look for loans to the Championship. And I just think it's about time now everything, like you said, Ben, was, backed properly and done properly.
I think there's so much more that we can talk about here, isn't there? But I am conscious of time. We need to speak a little bit about our last topic as well. But I think we definitely need to get all of us back together again, where we're like less time constraints and we go into even more detail about this. But maybe we can do one of our live Twitter shows on the AFU WFC channel as well. So definitely scope there out there. But go on, sorry, Stu.
I was going to say, could we do that as a bit of like an after-hours show? We'll kick it off about 11 p.m. and we can have a few drinks and really put the world to rights.
That sounds good to me now.
Yeah.
Matt, you're going to give us tonight's question, aren't you? But before we do, if there is anybody new to our show or new to Orpha United, Orpha United at the start of last month, I think it was, teamed up with Football Town in the goal to reach 3,000 subscribers. We're nearly there. We're getting a lot closer. At the end of the month, we're going to do a prize draw. Each show that I've done, we've asked a question, and the first 5 correct answers have gone into that prize draw. So at the end of the month, we're going to do that draw, and one lucky winner will win some merchandise from the Football Town website. Matt, if you've got the question for tonight, please, and we'll look out for these winning answers.
Yep. So fairly straightforward, this one. Which was the team that Kristen Press scored her first goal for Man United against? So it was right back near the start of the season. There's a bit of a clue. And she scored her first goal against which team? We won as well, if that helps.
Yeah. We'll let people have a chance to look on Google first, and I'm sure the answers will start coming in soon.
Can't cheat.
They're going to cheat, aren't they? There's a couple of
in already.
Yeah, let's put their names on screen.
These people don't cheat. They've got it in photographic memories, lads. Look on Google.
There's a few Googlers out there. Nat, if you win after all this, I'll think it's a fix, won't they? Yeah. One more answer in the comments. We're gonna move on anyway. The main topic of this show was going to be something along the lines of basically, because we've started the season so well, do we feel like that it's kind of hindered us a little bit as a fan base because our expectation has risen so much? So I mentioned on the last show that if we had been lingering around 5th or 6th throughout the whole season and then managed to work our way up to 3rd, 9 points ahead of Arsenal, I think we'd all be over the moon at the moment. But because we was lingering at the top in a title race and suddenly slipped down to 3rd, 9 points above Arsenal, the morale just seems to have dropped a little bit. Not so much now. I do feel that it's lifted again, but that Man City defeat really did hit hard, in my opinion. Matt, I know you mentioned on our show that you actually typed into the comments about the expectations have risen. Do you want to just touch on that one a bit more?
Yeah, so obviously you had Rodney on a couple of weeks ago and you were sort of discussing sort of expectations, and there was I don't know, like you said, disappointment within the fan base sort of after the Chelsea defeat, and then obviously after that we sort of lost and had disappointing defeats to Reading and Man City. And I said, we were sat top at January, which was absolutely fine. And I think, if you'd have said back in sort of August, September, will you be top in January? There's very little Man United women fans, in my view, would have said yes. And I think since that sort of expectations rose, is that we went from, September to Jan up there, whether we were top or whether we were sort of pushing Chelsea, with their sort of games in hand, etc. And I think for me, it's kind of, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect to be top in January. And I think, like I say, if you'd have asked me in August, where do you think we'll come this year? And I'd said, top 3. I think 3rd was more than achievable based on sort of last year and this year and the signings. And I still stick with that. Would I love to be top? Absolutely. But I think in terms of challenging for the title, we're not quite there yet. I think we need a little bit more depth because the injuries have absolutely killed us. But for me, I don't see why we can't at least now be pushing City for that 2nd place at least. And if we come 3rd, then we come 3rd. Champions League was the aim. Champions League was what most fans thought we'd get. So I think for me, if we get, 2nd or 3rd, I'm not hugely disappointed. I think it gives us a chance to grow and sort of assess next year and where we went wrong, really.
Matt, what do you think is holding us back from that top spot this season? What are the differences between, say, Chelsea and United at the moment?
I think 2 things. One that I've touched on for the past 2 seasons, and you probably know, is clinicalness. I think sometimes you look in and watching games, you see the stats, someone could have 30 shots and 8 on target and win it something like 2-0. So I think just being ruthless is the first thing. And I think the second thing is obviously squad depth. I mean, people might think, well, hang on, we've got sort of 22, 23 players. But if you look at the size of sort of Chelsea and City squad and how much they can rotate and sort of the firepower within those teams, then I think at the moment that's kind of what sets sort of them from us. I think at the minute we're sort of relying on a couple of players to get a load of goals, whereas those 2 teams seem to have goals from midfield, goals from the back, obviously the forwards as well. And I think it's for me, it's just getting little things into place. Listen, it's our 2nd season in WSL. Obviously, we didn't finish last year. And I think, it's a process, isn't it? Casey talked about this in season 1 with a sort of crawl, walk, run, jog mantra. And it's just about, for me, like I say, become clinical. Let's get some players in summer. Let's build again. Might need to clear a couple out and just see where it takes us, really, and kick on.
Mm-hmm. Stu, what's your thoughts on where are you kind of sitting at the moment? So going into the season, we was 18 points behind the top. Finishing last season, and all of a sudden we're at the top. And now do you find that we're like leveled out now? Do you reckon this is pretty much where we should be?
No, I don't think Man United are a victim of their own success. I think Man United are a victim of injuries, pure and simple, and it's straight up as that. I think Matt is right. Squad depth would help, but you look at what we would consider the long-term absentees this season: Lauren James, Alicia Russo, Tobin Heath, with Leah Galton as well. And I'm probably doing a couple of other players a disservice by not mentioning them, but that's international quality players that could win you a league. I was guilty at the beginning of the season because I looked at some of these signings coming in at Chelsea and Man City and even to a small degree, Heath and Press, and thought, are they actually really needed in some of these teams? And actually, I've learned that yes, when you look at the standard of those teams, and it'll be really evident within the UEFA Women's Champions League how Chelsea and Manchester City do in that, and how much they really need that massive squad. Chelsea have just managed to re-sign an England international goalkeeper in Carly Telford. Whether you rate her or not, she's a very good, very experienced goalkeeper. They've managed to effectively re-sign on a new contract as to sit reserve. But that just shows what they're doing behind the scenes with regards to coaching opportunities for players like Telford. And so they're giving that squad depth something to do. They're not just saying, like you may be more inclined to see in the men's game, where you'll have, here's my 12 favourite players and the rest of you might be lucky to get a look in. They really have rotated well. They've all had their moments. And United would have done that had they not had the injuries. Alicia Russo is just, I mentioned earlier about Leah Galton potentially being a shout for player of the season. Alicia Russo would have 100% been in there as well based on what we saw from her. So I think third, as Matt said, is a good season. everyone would have probably taken that at the beginning. But actually, I think all of us will secretly know a fully fit squad, or a much more fit squad for a longer period of the season, and there would be more of a title race, 100%. When you look at the points dropped, and I'm also just going to throw in the fixture list now between now and the end of the season. You take away the Arsenal game, I think United have the strength to comfortably win every other game. The only thing that would stop that would be unforced errors, and I'll use the example of the Reading game. It's unforced errors that shooting yourself in the foot. That otherwise, there's no reason why United can't go on a run and win every single game between now and the end of the year. And we might look at it slightly differently then. That gap closes that a little bit further. I think it's still a very good season. I think any United fan that has any great cause for complaint about this season, the only thing they can complain about is the injuries. Because other than that, I think everything else has been fantastic and it's been enjoyable. And I think Chelsea and Manchester City are probably quite relieved at the injuries. That Tobin Heath was the big one. That came at the really wrong time. And what could have been, we all know that hindsight's a wonderful thing, and if we could just sign that extra player, but I think that squad is looking good. 2 or 3 signings. I know that you guys have talked about another defender, another midfielder, another forward. The amount of players that are going to be itching to get to United next year, that are going to be on the phone to their agents, get me to Man United. I just think that this is a great precursor for what we see next year, and that title race could be brilliant. It's great. It's a great time to be a United fan.
I think a lot of that hinges on whether or not we get the top 3 as well. So that Arsenal game is massive, and there's a comment on screen. Thank you for joining. I've never seen you in the comments before, so thank you. I believe you're a Chelsea fan, but he's made some good points. We've got Arsenal on March the 18th, which is an absolutely massive game. I think there's a lot of Man United fans who would have liked to see Ebony Salmon play a little bit more, especially with what she's doing at the moment. But yeah, it's absolutely right, and what you said as well, Stuart. I think if we didn't have those injuries,
can I come in on that Ebony Salmon point?
Yeah.
You kind of hinted that I would like to have seen her do more based on what she's done now. I would argue that she's doing what she did now because she went out. She'd be a fantastic player to get in the summer. I know Natalie would love to see Shaw come in from France. But yeah, Ebony Salmon she's a match winner. She's direct through the middle, and that's the sort of player that would make a difference. And also just quickly touch upon your comment about the Arsenal game. I think United can afford to lose the Arsenal game and still comfortably be assured of third place. I think if look based on those fixtures between now and the end of the year, you're looking on paper, and I'm talking on paper before everyone else starts to email me, you're looking at Arsenal and Everton are the 2 tricky games this season. They should be able to at least get 3 points, if not 4 or 6 in those 2 games. And then they should be winning every single other one of those games that's played for the rest of the season. So I would say if United finish out of that top 3, massive questions need to be asked, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be comfortable. We'll be speaking in May 17th in person together somewhere in the middle of the UK, and we'll be saying that actually, do you know what? Yeah, it was a comfortable finish in the top 3, Champions League football. Roll on September, roll on fans in grounds, and the future really is bright.
I like how you said in person. I forgot what in person it feels like. It's so long. Just one quick one on that, Stuart, before I must move on to Ben. Can you see Arsenal dropping points before the end of the season?
Yeah, probably. I think Arsenal. I put out an article recently. I think Arsenal are a club in transition, and I think changes need to happen. I'm not advocating for Joe Montemurro's sacking or anything of that nature, but things aren't right there. They are sleepwalking into obscurity, and if they don't invest well in the summer, then I think there's going to be big trouble there, because I think they will continue to get left behind by 2 Manchester sides and Chelsea. But again, I could talk about that for ages, but there's your nutshell answer. You don't get many of them with me.
It is near to the end of the show, but I just want to ask Ben one question. We've made a few defensive errors this season, and we've got so many top quality strikers. However, we're 15 goals off Chelsea in regards to how many we've scored, but we've only conceded 8 more than them. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is, has our defence actually done better than our attack this season? Now, that might sound a bit crazy with all the strikers and the firepower that we've got and the mistakes that we've made at the back. But Owner Battle's on the thumbnail of this for a reason. I just wanted to kind of shout out our defence a little bit, because they haven't done such a bad job. Chelsea look like they're winning away from us now, but we've only conceded 8 less than those. So Ben, just what are your thoughts on those statistics there?
I've said we've been defensively solid. For me, the 2 centre halves have been solid up until the Reading game, where we sort of, do you know what I mean? From the Reading game on downwards, we've looked a little bit suspect. But defensively, mate, other than that, we've been absolutely solid all season. I think the 2 centre halves, the triangle, the 2 centre halves and the goalkeeper, is that. I think I went on about the last show maybe that I was on. That's a solid spine there. We know what the Turners are like together. They're really, really good. They communicate with each other. Mary Earps has brought that extra communication in. That triangle, that central triangle, that's strong spine to me in the back 5, if you include the goalkeeper. That's integral for us. Owner's been, listen, I've said it. She's blown my expectations of her right out the water. She's proved me wrong, because I was a little bit suspect. I was like, she might take a season to settle in, maybe, but I didn't ever expect to be this good. Kirsty Smith, she's stepped her game up as well. I think I said a few shows ago that, and I think everybody else has said that she's properly stepped her game up now. Martha Harris has come back from injury, then got injured again. Hopefully she'll be back soon. I do think we need another set. Maybe not another centre half now that thing has come in. I cannot say her name, by the way. Please don't make me say her name. I've got a Thor. Since Thor come in. Since she come in, I probably think you're probably looking at another left or right back, maybe. Well, left back. Yeah, right back, whatever. You look at another wing back anyway. I think maybe coming in to maybe sort of maybe ease the pressure a little bit at wing back. I don't know, mate. I think the City game, I was most disappointed in our defence. To be fair, we gifted them the game. That game, the one I was most disappointed was their 3rd goal, which just chipped it in. But for me, Thor should have been straight. It's 2 yards. Should be straight out blocking the shot. She turned her back. That's an amateur mistake to make. But on the whole, mate, our defence, as I said, has been really, really good. I've been really impressed. I just think we just need to maybe just bring somebody in, whether it'll be an experienced body in there at the back, to maybe someone with WSL more experience, maybe internationally a bit more experience than what we have at the minute. Maybe to make just to shore the spine up a little bit, and just to shore maybe the full back positions up. Just to give a little bit of extra competition, because we're a bit skating thing on the back. Because if we start picking up a couple of injuries at the back, then we're starting looking a little bit thin. So I do think we need to maybe just chuck maybe 1 or 2 in the summer in the back line. But other than that, man, they've done really well. I've been really, really impressed. Especially as I said, with the triangle, the spine, the 2 centre halves, and the goalkeeper, and obviously Owner. She's just been, well, she's up there with our best player of the season for me, and she probably will be our best player of the season. And that, given the couple of injuries that we had to the other 2, that I think would have had the shout. So if you're going to take it, fingers crossed, she stays fit. You've got to take it across the whole season. Owner could be in with a real shot at winning our player of the season in her first season, and that just proves how good she's been.
It's a big call, and it's a great way to end the show as well. I'll have to capture that one and make a little video and put it on Twitter, because you could be right, you really could. Because if you look at the whole season, obviously she's going to have played the most games, isn't she? We have come to the end of the show. We could talk for hours. We'll definitely have to continue this on another show. Socials. Ben, do you want to give your channel and Twitter a shout out?
Well, my Twitter is quite simple at first. It says it on the screen, Benny UFC. Instagram, Benjamin Brazil. And my YouTube channel, which will be coming into you soon, because me and Matt have got an idea, which we'll chuck out on social media during the week when I start advertising it properly. But my YouTube channel's Fathers, Sons and United. So pretty easy to remember that one. And I was going to say Facebook, but nobody uses it anymore, so we'll just roll on.
I just want to add to the question on screen. We always do 2 live shows a week, usually a match reaction and a Thursday night show. But this channel, obviously, we prioritise the men's team on this, so we do kind of work around the men's games. So we won't be on a Sunday if the men's team play on a Sunday, because of course the channel will be talking about the men's game instead. But please look out for us. You can find me on Twitter or the All For United WFC Twitter account, and we always advertise it on there. But definitely 2 live shows a week, and we're also starting to do live shows on our Twitter account as well, which lasts for about half an hour, so you can get plenty of content. And thank you for jumping on. Matt, what are your socials, mate?
Matt Crane 15 on screen. Just to add to that comment as well, in terms of a schedule, we have actually pinned on the All For United Twitter this week's schedule, something we've tried out. So next show, Twitter Live, is Wednesday, 8 p.m. And then obviously, like you mentioned, the Friday. But yeah, just trying to mix things up, get the content out there, keep you guys entertained, like you say, sort of as and when we can fit around the men. But yeah, other than that, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram as well. So, if you need anything, football discussions, I'm all for it. And that's where you can find me.
Excellent. And Stu, yourself and websites?
How has this been over an hour? It seems like 5 minutes.
Always the way, mate.
Jeez. You can just simply get us at Since 71 blog on all forms of social media. As I said on earlier, we like quality over quantity, so I'm not going to beg for your likes. But if you want to, come join us. We've got a nice little team over there.
And on that note, how's Ben doing? I haven't spoken to him much since.
I'm good, mate. Thanks. I'm joking. I'm joking.
The other one.
He's good. He's keeping busy, and he's the man to know with regards to Australian football at the minute. He's been he's kind of going headfirst into the W League and kind of loving life over there, to be honest. So if you want to catch up with everything going on over in Australia, then give Ben Gilby 1 a bit of a follow. Keep an eye on our page, and we've got a project coming up soon where we're going to do a bit of an idiot's guide to what goes on in Australia, and kind of really signpost what they're doing over there, who are the teams that are doing what, who are the players that are doing what, who are the young players to watch out for. So hopefully we'll get that out in mid-March.
Excellent. You can find me on Twitter, John Foster MUFC. Our next show is when, Matt? What's our schedule for this week? Can't remember. Monday. So Wednesday and Friday.
Wednesday 8 p.m. We're on Twitter Live. That's me, you, and Ben. And that is discussing the impact on no fans at grounds. So we're going to be discussing, do we think that's having a massive effect? If so, what? Kind of things like that. And then obviously Friday as well is the one after that. Again, it's pinned on All For United WFC. So those who follow us on Twitter, get on the pinned tweet, and it's literally, there's an image there with the schedule for you all.
Excellent. Thank you very much to everybody in the comments and the competition winners. Thank you guys, Stu. And we'll catch you guys again soon.
Thanks for having us. Take care of yourselves.